Hello, Leo. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here. And as always, thank you so much for checking out these readings. This week, we're going to be using the Crystal Visions Tarot. All right, Leo. So looking at the two of these, for me, the feeling is you realizing that you deserve something else rather than constantly pushing yourself and overdoing it. So this week from Lay Vampire, Burnt by the Sun, ambition, extension, and reach. And then from Chakra Wisdom, self-worth. Burnt by the Sun, my I overdid it card. It's saying that, you have to go beyond the limits that you set for yourself, but you may not always succeed. But it changes for me looking at it with self-worth. Now, with self-worth, the question there is, what do you feel like you actually deserve? How do you relate to the word deserving? This is about self-love and self-care. Now, the card at a glance says that this card indicates love of life and no longer trying to prove your value to others who may not see what you see. Rely on your inner knowing. And that may be where you're trying to push yourself too hard here with Burnt by the Sun. All right, guys, here is your overall for the week. Oh my God. Why? Now, with this being the overall, we're talking about heartbreak, betrayal, being hurt. Now, hopefully some of you are moving into a place of forgiveness and understanding and getting past this now. But right now it's focusing on this and getting over it. In the past, the Knight of Wands. Now, the reason why I get iffy is because I feel like, first of all, Leo, fire sign, Knight of Wands, yeah, I feel like that's your energy. So it could possibly be that you've done something in the past, didn't think about the consequences of those actions, and now you're looking at the Three of Swords, which is possible for some of you. Now, on the other hand, you could have had somebody come in and out of your life, like in a rush, and then left you heartbroken, which is possible here with the Knight of Wands. Oh my God, in the present, the Knight of Pentacles. Ugh. Now, right, slowly moving away from getting involved in those situations or acting that way, with the Knight of Pentacles being in the present. Slow and steady, right? And slowly moving on from heartbreak. But the problem is we're still looking at this as the overall. Oh boy. Now, you may be being cautious though with somebody coming back through, especially if they have hurt you before, which is possible. But when we're talking about slow movement, I want to see why. Future conditions, so you get to a place of independence here, or trying to get to where you are removing yourself from this situation, being independent of it, with the Nine of Pentacles. And this could definitely be a work situation for some of you. Some of you, it's dealing with a person. Whatever the situation is here. For me, looking at the Nine of Pentacles coming out, it looks like you move into a place of independence, or that's what you're trying to achieve here. But still, this throws a taint on everything. Your best path to follow, the Six of Swords. Absolutely move away from that shit. But it's hard. It's hard sometimes to leave things in the past. The whole point of the Six of Swords is when you move into that calmer emotional state and new horizons, is to deal with the pain as you're moving on. Not that you need to continuously carry it with you, but to deal with it as you move away and let it go for good. Man, Leo. I do, even if this is where you're trying to get here, I do feel good about this being in future conditions, regardless of the fact that you're needing to move away from heartbreak. And things are dragging ass right now, that or you're being cautious and wanting to stay independent rather than getting involved, which you may have done in the past here. But no more, no more. In your environment, yep, the Nine of Wands, yeah, I would say being cautious and being defensive and not letting the guard down here. And clearly having been put through quite a bit. With the Nine of Wands connected to the Knight of Pentacles, yeah, that to me is not really wanting to let something back in, wanting things to move a little bit slower, not being so quick-paced, and actually looking at what's going to happen later on, versus doing things and not thinking about the consequences, or, letting somebody come in and then just leave your life. I don't think that you want to deal with that again, with the Nine of Wands being in your environment. And I do think that that's you. Being slow, being cautious, on guard. It's not so much that you're looking to continue to fight. Now, on the other hand, you could be dealing with somebody who's being persistent, though, too. And like persistently trying to get through your defenses. But like I said, with the Nine of Pentacles, you're moving into a place of independence here. Your hopes and your fears, the Four of Swords, you just need to take a break from this. And that's what I feel like more than anything. And not only that, but maybe you do need to cut off communication. Because if you're feeling like this, then yeah, that's not something you want to let come back through. And then, not only that, but your advice here is to move away from it. Don't even entertain the possibility of letting this happen again. Now, as far as the fear, it's not being able to act, not being able to come out of that coma to do something or to say something, but I don't know. I feel like for some of you, you just need a moment to just be left. Leave me alone for a minute, let me think about what's happening here. And I do think it does look like, this may have been the action that you've taken, but it also looks like it's coming back in. And I go back to the Oracle cards and I'm like, yeah, makes sense. Oh, and then coming out, the Seven of Swords. Why? Now, looking at that with the Nine of Pentacles, it may be one of those situations where you just need to, leave. When I look at this one versus most Seven of Swords, I look at somebody who's like left to pick up the pieces after having dealt with betrayal, right? Because you're talking about sneaky, sketchy, low-down behavior and bullshit, right? And then the Page of Pentacles, yeah, you're looking to start somewhere else. So when we're looking at the Seven of Pentacles, you're looking at taking stock of what you have to show for everything that you've been through and everything that you've done, all the time and effort that you've put into something. But it's about continued growth for you. And the only way to continue growth in the way that you want to see it may be to just abruptly leave a situation without saying anything. With the Empress being there, I mean, yeah, we could definitely be talking about somebody who may be blocking you, which is possible looking at these. But, the Empress, though, as far as the energy surrounding you, it's really about being able to indulge in the abundance that's surrounding you, right? Being in a place where you're more comfortable rather than being pushed to be put back in a position that's going to cause you heartbreak because of, possibly somebody coming in and stirring up a bunch of passion and then leaving you in the dust, so to speak. But with the Page of Pentacles, yeah, you're looking to continue your own growth here and your own independence is what I feel like more so than anything. I like the energy. I just don't like the fact that you have to do it in this way, but you may not have a choice. It may be one of those things where, you just have to pick up and go and not say a damn thing to anybody, And like I said, for some of you, that Empress is going to be a person that you're dealing with, which is possible. But I feel like it's more so about you needing to be comfortable, needing to be independent, needing to be secure. But it's you needing to start this. You need to start this. You need to get it going here if you're wanting to remove yourself from this situation. And again, your best path to follow is telling you that you need to go, right? So I feel like with that Seven of Swords, it's like you're just going to have to go and do it. And like I said, this could be a relationship. It could be a work situation. It may be that you're dealing with a really shitty boss, which is possible. But like I said, I do like that you move here. So whatever it is that you're dealing with, you're moving into a place where you're thinking about separating yourself from this now and getting independent, which is good. I don't really feel like that's a bad thing, but because we're talking about the Hangman, you may be like waiting on somebody to open up to you. But this is being bound together, being bound to each other, but needing to stay optimistic about, them opening up to you or getting out of a situation that they may be bound in, which is possible here, which is why you're looking at needing to stay optimistic. You may be dealing with a person who's involved in another situation and waiting for them to open up. Now, as far as pay attention to the red flags when you're looking at the Four of Swords, this is, somebody who's trying to force a connection with you and you needing to pay attention to that. Because, look at the card, right? Like, they're just not having it. Like, I'm trying, but I don't know. I can't. And the red flag here would be somebody who's being persistent and trying to force you to connect with them. And that may be something that you need to separate from. And then not only that, but be careful about, trying to make a connection with somebody that may have other issues going on, right? And you needing to pay attention to that. But, Leo, even though we're looking at the Three of Swords here and your advice being the Six, and again, general reading, not going to be for everybody, but I do like the way that the clarifiers are with the Seven of Swords. I hate that card. But, sometimes I feel like there's a reason why we don't talk about what we're planning on doing. And for you, it's about becoming more independent, becoming secure, but it's about you, And it could be that some of you are moving into a place where you're becoming single and happy and being a little bit more comfortable with where you're at, especially in terms of relationships. But like I said, if we're talking about a work situation, you may have something new that you're wanting to work on and you're just not happy with where you're at. And again, needing to remove yourself from the situation, become independent from it. But it's all about the continued growth for you. All right, Leo. So I really do think that this is all about you not pushing yourself so hard anymore toward a goal that you shouldn't be going after in the first place. Because when you're looking at self-worth, again, you're talking about what you feel like you actually deserve, right? Self-love, self-worth, self-care, and not pushing so much. Now, I do think that because we're looking at the Three of Swords with the Knight of Wands being the past coming through, this could definitely be somebody or a situation here that didn't go so well, and it looks like it's still coming back through. Now, if you're talking about your own action, it's really about moving into a place here where you're thinking about the consequences this time, but you're also being very cautious and being very on guard, which absolutely, if you do have something coming through, again, that already caused heartbreak for you. Now, for some of you, it's simply you have a passion somewhere else and you're not happy with where you're at, and you're trying to become independent from it. And again, it's all about that continued growth here coming out. But it's more about financial stability and security. No matter what you're dealing with here, the question becomes, am I going to be okay in the physical, right? Like if I'm leaving a situation, am I going to be stable? You're being told here to move the hell away from this, and I do think you do. Looking at the Seven of Swords, you just do it in a way where you're not really discussing what you're planning, what you're doing, right? But like I said, sometimes with the Seven of Swords, there's a reason for that. I don't necessarily feel like it's deceptive because of this being your advice and the fact that you're looking at the Three of Swords as the overall. Now, as far as the clarifiers, again, it's looking at, what you have to show for everything that you've done. And when you're looking at the Empress, especially with the Nine of Pentacles being there, it's all about abundance and being comfortable, being happy, being able to enjoy your life. Now, some of you may be dealing with a difficult person who you may be being a little bit defensive toward, or you're looking at a new situation here, because with the Page of Pentacles, yeah, but it's all about you and what you're going to do to create that independence from this situation and away from this heartbreak, right? It doesn't look bad coming out. I just don't like the fact that you have to do it in the Seven of Swords type way. I always say that it's better to be open and honest about things, but there are times where we get thrown into situations where it's like, there's no point in even saying anything. I'm just going to go, which absolutely makes sense with this being hopes and fears. I don't think that this is about you needing to, stay inactive. I do think that you need a break from this, but the only way that you're going to get away from it is by acting. And it also may be one of those things where you're fearing that you're not going to be able to speak, but you don't anyway, coming out. And I don't think it's about communication, because you're blocking it out anyway. And it could be that somebody else is blocking out this communication to you. And that may be where the fear is. But the thing is, you're being asked to move on from this now, to move away from this, no matter what the situation is. If you're dealing with heartbreak and deception, you have to go. And again, it's all about your stability and security here coming out. Now, as far as relationships go, for singles, pay attention to the red flags in the Four of Swords. Pay attention to the red flags if you have somebody who's trying to force you into having a connection with them. The other thing, though, too, is you need to pay attention to the red flags if you are trying to get involved with somebody who is not making the connection, because there may be something else going on that you don't know about. But, with red flags, you'll know, because it'll come out in certain ways where it's like, wait a minute, what is that about? So singles, just be careful about who you're connecting with right now. For those of you who are in a relationship, stay optimistic about your love life. And then the Hangman. The Hangman I don't see as a bad thing, but because we're talking about the Hangman, you could be dealing with a person here who may be bound to a different situation, and you may be waiting on them, and that's why you're needing to stay optimistic. But there's still like a bond to you. It's just waiting for them to open up. For those of you who are happy in a relationship, it's just them, freeing themselves from other things, not necessarily other relationships, but like for some of you that can be the case. And that's why you're needing to stay optimistic, that they're actually going to open up to you. But, either way, coming out of this, I do think that your best course of action is to do what you think is the best thing for you. If you have to do something on the down low to get to independence and stability, then so be it, And I hate saying it that way, but it's also having to do with timing, because we're looking at the sevens here, waiting for the right time. If there's no point in communicating anymore, then maybe that is the best course of action for you. Regardless, you are being asked to move away from this now.